Whoa, that's not a Volvo. Hey YouTube, it's been a while. I'm back with an Acura TL. My daughter bought this and needs a lot of maintenance. Got a repair estimate from an independent shop, trustworthy one. Total cost of repairs, more than the price of the car from an independent car dealer lot. But it's a good car, 114,000 miles. That's a great bones. That repair estimate was more than the purchase price of the car. We fixed all of that and a hell of a lot more for thousands of dollars less. Here we go. YouTube, my daughter graduated college and bought herself her own vehicle, an Acura TL. This thing's amazing, 3.2 liter V6. We got to do a little bit of work on it. What we're going to do today is we need to right off get the power steering pump replaced and a couple hoses, clean some stuff up. We got a coolant leak back here on the heater control valve. We're going to get that fixed. We'll change the coolant and the power steering. We're going to do some brakes, brake pads, fluid. What else are we going to do? There's going to be some bunch of little things, maybe some oil leaks in there. Look at this beautiful car. I'm actually kind of proud of her. She did very, very well. Even though it's not a Volvo, it's a nice car. It's gonna last forever. Let's get to it. Let's get this Acura TL up in the air. I gotta get used to saying Acura TL. I've never said that before. I got new Bosch Quiet Cast rotors and pads showing up. Need to order some for the back, so I'll do that tonight. But I got these wheel lug nuts loosened up. We need to get underneath and see where all the leaks are coming from. I know the brakes are coming off because I got brake pads showing up tomorrow on the big brown truck. So yeah, let's start, let's lift this thing in the air. Lug nuts are loose. All right, well I pulled off the rotors and the brake pads. Calipers are hung up there. Just like I do it, hang them on the spring until I'm ready to put them back on. New calipers are arriving tomorrow, but when I was underneath the engine looking for some leaks, look what I found. I was underneath, and if you look back in there, right down below the axle, do you see that hole? There's supposed to be a mount for the transmission there on the subframe. It's the rear lower transmission mount, and it is missing completely. Somebody was definitely in here because this axle and hub was definitely replaced. So not sure why they didn't put the engine mount back on. I'm not even sure why it was off in the first place. But yeah, I ordered one of those. Believe it or not, it was $6 on Rock Auto on clearance. So I'm gonna jump in here. We're gonna drain. I'm gonna put some treatment, some seafoam in there. We're gonna seafoam into the engine compartment, let it idle for 10 minutes, drain the oil. I'm also gonna drain the transmission fluid tonight. We'll refill that tomorrow. Gonna do a drain and fill, 3 liters, I think it is. I'll look at that. I got a belt coming, tensioner. I have idler pulleys coming. Those will be here tomorrow. I have a PCV valve. I don't even know where it's at yet on this car, but I'm going to find it. This whole pump that's leaking everywhere. I ordered 3 hoses for the power steering because they're leaky. Yeah, we're going to make some progress on this thing and get it to where we can narrow down what is leaking, and it should be a pretty good car. The other thing that's really interesting is this strut mount brace only has 1 bolt on each side. Just the top one, it's missing these 2. So trip to the junkyard tomorrow, and down in here, big hole for where it's supposed to suck air. So air comes in, just looking at a diagram online, it comes in through this little channel right there, right here. Goes in this way, gets pushed into the air compartment, coming in from back there in the corner. Let's see if I can get it lit up just right. Where? Oh, it's right there in the corner. I'm pointing the light on it, right in the bright spot. There it is. That's where the air comes in through that little duct. But it's not supposed to look like this. I believe, and I won't know till tomorrow when I go to the junkyard, I think there's supposed to be a tube that sits in there and comes up to about here. So that channel's supposed to put air into the compartment and then sucks it back in through here, but it's not supposed to be all the way down there. So I gotta go find one of those. I'm gonna try to find another under tray because one of them's ripped. Yeah, some progress. I gotta get some bolts. Run smooth. All right, I got it running. Gonna put that in there so it's 1 ounce per quart, and that's like 4.5 quarts, something like that, 4.25 liters. So measured it out in my Pyrex. I'll have to clean that out nice and good. But I like to do it with the engine running so that we know oil's moving around in there. we're not just stripping one part of the engine when I pour it in. So I'll funnel that in and let it idle for 10 minutes in there. I'm not going to drive it. It says on the can 100 to 300 miles of driving. I just let it idle for 10 minutes and drain it. It's a lot easier. Hey YouTube, hit subscribe for extra tips on how to repair an Acura. It just comes down to more pry bar. Jump down there, hit subscribe. So after I poured the seafoam into the engine there, I stuck a rubber glove over the oil thing, over the oil fill tube or oil fill cap to see. I thought I'd do a PCV test on it, and it didn't suck or blow. It did nothing. It's like I don't know if I have to rev it up a little bit on this engine or what, but it did absolutely nothing. I do have a PCV ordered. Just got to figure out, it's down in underneath this plenum somewhere. We will figure that out later, but right now I let it run for 10 minutes or so. So it didn't even heat up enough that the fans turned on for the radiator. That's kind of shocking. But let's drain the oil and let's get an oil change done on this car very pronto. All right, I did go ahead and buy a new oil drain plug. It's a Honda M14 1.5, just a aftermarket replacement one with a new cross washer. It's not completely boogered up, but I'm just going to put a new one in there. I'm going to get a look at those threads real quick, and we'll jump to a filter. It's a little tiny cute thing. I'm a little perplexed because I just pulled this out of the drain pan just to compare it. I mean, we're just going to replace it. I think it's actually an aftermarket one as well. Sure as heck it looks like it. Probably not. But anyway, why would it have so much blue Loctite on it, or is that some sort of sealant? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Is that some sort of blue Teflon tape? Feels like it's coming off. Like Teflon tape, like plumber's tape. Let me go inspect those threads on the oil pan. Now I'm getting nervous. All right, so it's bad. There's no threads. They are gone. It was full of blue ribbon, so basically like a plumber's Teflon tape, but blue. I thought it was Loctite when I first pulled it off. It's horrible. There are no threads left on that oil pan, so it's brand new oil pan, or maybe I can put a helio coil in there. I'm gonna call my dad for backup help tomorrow. I know he did this on a Honda car. I think it was a Honda Accord. But yeah, it was just a bunch of little springy pieces of metal. I don't think it was even a helio coil. I think it was just what was left of threads. They were over tightened. What was left were over tightened, and they're just coming out like basically little pieces of a spring. And yeah, that's why it was leaking. I don't even know what this is. I don't think these are threads. Is this some sort of a helio coil that was in there? Just glued into place with blue Teflon? But there's all kinds of pieces of it. Like it doesn't feel sharp like threads. It feels like a spring. Did they try to helio coil it and not get it right? I don't even know what to make of this. Wow. All right, let's see if we got any magnetic bits in here like we did on my Volvo. Turn off my light. Don't hear anything. That's great news. Should have probably cleaned all the... Yep, nothing. I lost the bottom little sticker of a magnet for my light. No metal bits. That's great. I'm not hearing any clicks. Nada. Zilch. So that's great news. Nothing from the inside of the engine. We just don't have threads for an oil pan. So maybe it's a new oil pan and put a new seal on there. Just be safe. All right. So last night, I think it was less than $200 shipped in 2 days. And it was like $80 worth of shipping. We ordered the oil pan, replacement oil pan aftermarket, a seal instead of using RTV. Just there's a seal that I got. I kind of prefer using those, especially when we're going to have to wedge that thing up in there. Massage it through the subframe. So yeah, that might bite me in the ass. And then I also got the oil filter adapter gasket, because that could be leaking as well. It looks like something's leaking on the front. Most likely the candidate or the front main seal, but we'll start there. Got that, and then I spent the whole morning at the junkyards, 2 different junkyards, 6 different Acura TLs to find bolts. All right, well this battery is a replacement from 03, I think, and it's just sitting there waiting to fly around. So I pulled a bracket, and I have the tie downs over there. This is the tube that's supposed to make the air suck from about this height and not all the way down there below the battery. So that is what was missing. What else did I get? Oh, I got a cap for the windshield washer fluid. Walking through here. Yep, here's all my tie downs. Got a bunch of bolts for the strut cross brace. I pulled some off of different cars. Matter of fact, one car only had one. These I think new ones of these are coming. These go on the subframe side of the missing transmission mount. These are the weird 14 millimeter bolts, and they are missing on this car because it does not have the mount. So it took 2 different cars for me to find these. There's the studs. These are some brackets for the it's missing on the electrical line that goes up the side. Oh, I also scored an undercarriage thing that is not broken. It's wanting to break, I see. It's a little flimsy right here. And this one's completely broken off. So I have a plastic melding kit so I can put some metal pieces in there and melt that, excuse me, with some more materials. But parts are showing up. Let's get this thing, let's start moving. I got all kinds of stuff. I got quiet cast Bosch brake pads, quiet cast rotors. I got a PCV. I got a new lug stud for the back. This is my heater control valve and the Gates accessory drive belt kit. So yeah, let's start working. Let's get dirty. All right, so to get to this box and fix some clips and stuff some screws are missing down here. Got a new set of that. I'm gonna clean this up. The battery needed to come out. I need to redo this terminal because these are not the originals. Acura has some clamp ones, bolt clamps. And this one never got tight enough. It's kind of odd. Just it bent itself and flexed itself, doesn't tighten up enough. So it was always loose. Pulled it out, put it on charger. We'll let this thing charge up, and it was sitting at 70%. So it's doing its charge. We'll get that thing ready here in a little bit. Changed the plans, took all that out, pulled the air filter out, got a new one anyway already. It wasn't terribly bad, but got one in here so we'll know when it was done. This is not mounted up. It's loose right there. It's missing a bolt right there. Makes it really hard to get in here to the airbox. But anyway, got that out. Pulled everything out. I'm going to replace the cables completely. Because the negative one that goes here to the frame, and then this one just connects to the fuse box and to the starter. These are so old and clamped together and kind of gross. I'm just going to replace the 2 wire set for the battery and call it good. So this one will get replaced. Just comes off the starter right there, and it comes off the fuse box right here where my finger's at, like right in there. So piece of cake. All right, so I took some more stuff apart here. Got the air filter cap out of the way. So this positive cable, it's this right here. It just runs right here and goes into the back of the starter, and it connects to right here. I just disconnected an 8 millimeter bolt. That lifts right out. Now I just got to worry about the sight on the back of the starter. I ordered it from the Acura dealer. Should be available today, tomorrow, and it's like $100 for both of them, plus the bolt that goes right here. So we can get this thing up where it's supposed to be. It is missing another bolt here on the back of the breather box. I bet I have one I can put down in there. All right, so I'm just looking around here, and I mentioned this earlier, but look, it only has 1 bolt on each side, just the top one. It's missing the other 2 on both sides, so it should be 6, but I just noticed that brake booster, that is new. Sitting back in here, that is shiny. Don't know when that was done, but I'm also kind of curious what is supposed to go in these brackets right here. I have no idea what that is supposed to be, or if that's for a different car. Maybe that's for the Honda? Different engine? Don't know. All right, I think I figured it out. I think all of this is supposed to be hanging up and away on here. Yep, there are 2 different mounts for electrical snaps. They are not connected. Yeah, they're just laying down there on the back. See that? They're just laying on the back of the transmission, hanging down on their own electric. They're supposed to be hanging on that bracket. We'll fix all this. All right, well, while I'm waiting here, got the cross strut brace off because it only had 1 bolt. So I'm gonna pull this out of the way. I'm on the back side now, and right down there, see how it's all wet? That's our coolant leak that started all of this whole process of this car losing coolant. And it hasn't been running for 2 days, and it's just dripping right there slowly. So that little cable comes in right where my finger's at. That's the cable coming in on the thermometer on the inside of the interior, telling it how much coolant to allow through to the heater core inside the dash. And I just got to take that off, mark how it's set up, and replace that core. And it's just a little part. It is this. This is what came. It said famous brand, but it couldn't say the name. I wouldn't call CarQuest exactly famous. But that's it. That's the little piece. Flow arrow. That's what the little cable hooks onto. And it just sits in there and it just went bad. So I got to figure out how to get it out and put 2 hoses on it. And hopefully it's not the hoses that are bad. It's usually just these units. All right, well, Acura makes this pretty simple for us. Right here is a little white nozzle. And that's how we drain the radiator down the bottom. You know, it's my favorite thing is antifreeze, coolant. So we're going to cycle this through. Let's see if I can open this up and have it pour through. I got some cardboard to soak up my splatters. How far out do I have to come? Thought it would have come. Oh, look at that. Sweet. That was easy. No wrench needed. I'm just using 2 bungee cords to pull this. I disconnected 2 more clips on this side. Those were already undone. We'll redo those in a little bit, but just 2 bungee cords to get this electrical panel up and out of my way. And I can see down in there that blue cable coming in on the right. That is the thermostat setting for hotter or colder in the inside of the car. I popped off the little tip. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you put it back on with the new one, that cable is in the exact same spot on this clamp so that it has the same setting on the inside, tied to the inside. So now I just need to pop that connector, let that cable get out of the way, pull some hoses off, all the coolant's done draining, and we should be able to pull that bracket out of there and reattach it. All right, I removed the bracket off the engine that was holding a power steering line and then the high pressure line, and then pulled one of the brackets off that's holding one of the electricals. It's hung by the bungee cord. Was able to get that first hose off, and now it's leaking some more coolant out the bottom, but now we have access and we can see it a lot better. I got 1 hose off right where my hand's at, and I got another one over there, but I think I'm just going to pull the bracket first. Not sure if I can get to that hose or how I'm going to do it. Let me see from the other side. This gets complicated. From the other side, it's very stroby. From the other side, I was able to get this second hose off, pull it off, and now I can just reach in there and undo that bracket, and the whole thing's going to come out as one piece. Voila! Famous brand for, I think that was like $6, $9, I don't remember. Just have 2 little Phillips screws. I was going to try to reach in there and do those, but it's just the bracket sitting in place. Too hard to get to. Can't really get any leverage on them, so I just took the whole bracket out. Hopefully I can get it back in. Just has a little simple bolt. But they are identical. Just got to get it lined up, and I got 2 new screws. Use that bracket, clean it up, back on it goes. It's all mounted up, 2 bolts. Piece of cake has 2 little tabs that go right there. Made sure it's the right direction. I cannot blow air through this one at all when it is closed. The other one, I could. Just a little bit of air was coming through, and my daughter said that the AC was not that great. So I have a feeling that thing was just leaking. Looked like most of the liquid was, or the coolant was coming out through the valve. So it just lost its seal on the bushing there. So anyway, it goes right back in. Let's see if I can get that in first, and then we'll get these hoses mounted up. Piece of cake. There have been lots of wrestling and cuss words, but finally got it in. Got the bracket mounted up with the bolt. Got this hose on. I still got that hose over there. That second hose right there all lit up bright is not on yet. I gotta do it from the other side, underneath, or from the top, but worming my hands in there under some cables between the 2 radiator lines, coolant lines, and we will get this done, but it's not easy. Not easy at all. That wasn't easy, but it's definitely easier than the $1,800 they had quoted to replace it. And there it is. So I noticed that the little thing that holds the blue temperature climate control cable in place, it has 4 little notches that grab the housing on that cable. And I was able to just get those teeth down exactly where they left little marks. So it's perfect. It is in place. Now I'm going to vacuum fill the coolant with new coolant. Consider it a flush. And I'm hoping those hoses aren't bad because that is a pain. And I got them all rotated into their native spots for the clamps, both sides. It is good. Let's put some more brackets back in here. Let's mount some electrical where it goes in its little clamps. And then we will vacuum fill some coolant. All right, I got the cross brace in with 6 bolts, 1, 2, 3 on each side. I mounted my electrical on here. It's where it's supposed to be. It's up. It's not down by the exhaust and the hot. It's up high. Got them mounted back here. You can't really see it. Where's my light? There we go. Boy, Alex, that's a bright light. Got that one. It's bracket down there, the blue bracket, all lit up right there. And then the other one over there is the blue bracket is on its mount, and then those 2 are on theirs. The wires are up where they're supposed to be. Just need some cables, and I can put this whole side back together. Yeah, ooh, why is that turned? More fixings. Lots and lots of fixings. All right, YouTube, before I opened up the bottom and started draining coolant or transmission fluid, I did reach down in here with the 17 millimeter and pop that top one. That's where I fill it up, so I know I can put more back in. It is pouring out. We'll let it pour all night and drain. Looks like it's still going a little bit there. But look at what I got here. Very sludgy. I'm doing this left-handed and backwards. Let's walk out here and get turned around. Look at that. It's a magnetic drain plug and very, 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 very sludgy. We will clean that off and put new fluid in there. Yuck. All right, spending a lot of money on these brakes with new rotors, new pads. We're gonna do the fluid. I think the fluid's been done since that master cylinder was replaced, but we're gonna do it anyway so we know when it was done. These were rusted tight. These are nasty old pins. Duralast had some. They were like $10, $15 a piece. I think they're more expensive on the rears, which is kind of funny. But I went ahead and got 4 sets. We're going to do each caliper with new pins and new bolts. And yeah, got it all lubed up. And they move nice and freely now. They make like cool sound effects, sucking air and pushing grease. So I'm going to mount that side. Yep, there's our new hub that was put on and a fairly new axle. So this side's good. I still need that mount. It's coming in tomorrow. And now I have the bolts for it. I got my rotors, Bosch Quiet Cast. Actually had my bracket on there and realized I didn't put the rotor on yet, so pulled it back off. I'm gonna put some anti-seize on the hub just so it's easy to get off and they never freeze, because brand new, these are probably gonna be on here for what? I don't know, 6-10 years? Not really sure why, but I'm only able to get one pre-mount bolt. I know they don't do anything except hold it in place until the lug nuts are bolted down. So it's fine, but the other one just doesn't line up right. So I wonder if this is an aftermarket hub and it just doesn't fit. It's not quite perfect, but this one was able to get in. So that's good enough. Let's get the bracket back on there. All right, I've literally mounted these brackets and torqued them 3 times. Third time's the charm. First time I forgot the rotors, put the rotors on, tightened them again, torqued them, forgot the springs. You gotta get those on before you put it on there. So I'm ready for pads, and then we can get this caliper back down here. Damn, new pads, new rotors, new pins, greased. Looks really good. I got to put some grease on the outside here, just where it's going to make contact, and it's inside the springs. I got to open up that caliper a little bit and slide it on. All right, I did it. It's on there. It's moving. It's got free sliders on the slider pins are free. It's ready to go. Let's see if I can do the other side. All right, it's definitely an aftermarket hub on the other side, that new hub, because this side didn't have any Phillips screws holding it on. It just came off with the studs and banged it with a hammer to break the old one free. It didn't have any pre-mounting bolts. So I have one on each side, and these two line up perfect. So this is a Honda Acura hub. The other side is just slightly askew. We'll make it work. Guess what? I get to redo it. It's just sitting on here. It's not even torqued down. But this pad goes on the inside. That one goes on the outside because of the tab. It's going to hit the wheel. Yep, I started looking at that going, that doesn't make sense. Quick change. Learn from my mistakes, people. Yeah, now it's sitting back here. That little tab is somewhere back there. Oh, it's hidden inside the caliper. On the somewhere up right there where my finger's at, it sticks out. So it is fine there. It's not going to hit a wheel here. So I got to go fix the other side. This is torqued. Everything's good. It was 107 on the brake on the caliper brackets, and then 50 Newton meters on the actual slider pin, the caliper mounts that go into them. And I held them with a 19-inch wrench so they wouldn't turn, because they seem to they are beveled on the inside, and they just slide in and out better in a certain orientation, I thought. So those are done. Front rotors are finished. I just got to fix the pads on the other side. Just for the record, that went really easy. Super quick now that I know what I'm doing, and I'm lining up bolts really easy. Pads are reversed. All right, so real quick before I call it a night, I am going to change the PCV because it's super easy. It's 1 bolt. This is a aftermarket replacement. These are pretty pricey. It's like 35 bucks, something like that. This one doesn't look old. I bet it's been done, but we had no record of it, so let's change it out. There it is. It's super easy. I mean, that's less than a minute. Pretty gunky, but we know that there's been a lot of oil leaking and power steering leaking and all kinds of stuff going on in there. So just collecting dirt. Yep, it's got 2 O-rings on it. I got to just lube those up with some motor oil and toss this one in the trash, obviously, and put the new one in. That is super easy. Right in front, super nice how they did that. Yeah, tomorrow, looking super stoppy on the fronts. Tomorrow goes up in the air in the back. I'm gonna pull the backs off. Those parts are showing up tomorrow. Gonna redo the rotors pads, caliper pins, slider pins, and grease on the back. And also gonna work on pulling the oil filter adapter so I can get the gasket behind it. And gonna pull the oil pan off. Maybe even do the power steering. Yeah, probably do the power steering pump too. Welcome back. A lot more fun starting today with a business meeting than walking around in the hot, dusty, nasty, particulate-filled air of the junkyard. So today we're back in the garage. Right now, let's refill this with coolant. We're gonna vacuum fill the coolant because I'd rather find out if there's a hose leak now so I can get the parts ordered before the weekend. And then we're gonna get the back end up in the air and pull those calipers off because the new ones are coming on a truck sometime this afternoon. Let's get to it. All right, well, I learned something really quick, really different from the Volvos. This is just truly an overflow reservoir. It is not connected to feed back into the system whatsoever. It can suck in and push back, but it's not connected in the flow. So it does not draw a vacuum on this tank. It must have an exit somewhere if it really overflows. So I have to do it directly on the radiator cap. And on the Volvo, we don't have radiator caps. So that took a little bit. It looks like it's holding. That's great news. It means I don't have a leak. So let me get my coolant bottles ready and I can suck it in back into the voids that we've created. All the hoses are collapsed. Great news. It's holding. That means the hoses are good. All right, well, I got a new crush washer and the drain plug reinserted to torque on the transmission fluid drain plug. This is what came out in basically, I don't know, 24-hour drain. Almost 3.5 liters, which is about right. This jug holds 3.78, so I'm going to take it down to probably the last liter line, and then I'll start because this one is old school. Has a fill up back here. I have the funnel going down back there into the hole, and then right here we have a check to see how full it is. So obviously, I'm not going to get it perfectly right because it's not going to be up to temp, and it's not going to be shifting through the gears. But I'm going to basically I'll probably add 3 liters back in there and then wait till we get it running again and do the final set on how high the level is. So that's the plan. All right, well, I got the transmission fluid in there and I just finger tightened the cap on the top. I have about a liter left. I was starting to check it and it's actually at the lower level, just below the lower dot on the dipstick. So I know it's going to pull some more through back into the channels when we start it up and into the cooler. So I think it has a cooler. It's got to have a cooler, right? And then, so we will, it's enough to get it to start. Once we get the oil changed and the oil pan on there, we can start it and then get that up to temperature and get the level set correctly. Because even right now, it's not even sitting on level ground. It's up on jack stands on the front only. Speaking of which, let's lift it back and get the calipers off because I have new brakes coming on the way. They should be here like in an hour or two. How's that for timing? Got my second old brake apart. The van showed up, got my new ones, and then Amazon showed up, and I got a manual. I now know what I'm doing. Brand new manual, $30, and Amazon delivered it in 24 hours. Keep at it. Let's go. Well, right before the driver got here, we had a mangled, I don't know if it looks like they cut something off of it, like cut an old lock nut probably. A locked lug nut and lost the key and just cut it off, but they mangled this thing somehow. So I've never done one of these before. You just hit it with a sledgehammer. You got to line it up so it's hang on, this is my new one going back in, but you spin it till you got space back here. I think I did it right there so it can go inside of the parking brake shoe on the backs. You wouldn't have this issue on the front, but you just hit it with a sledgehammer and it flies out the back. And then I used a magnet to feed it through one of these big holes. And then the process to insert this one was the opposite. I just stuck it through a hole, and with my fingers through the gaps and through the hole, I was able to feed it in. Now I just need to use a lock nut, and I did verify that it is the right threads. So I just need to use a lock nut and some spacers so it can tighten down far enough, and it will just pull itself into place. So I need to somehow put some washers on there that'll allow me to tighten that down. Let me figure that part out. All right, so here's how I did it, because you can't use just a lug nut by itself because they're capped, so they don't go in far enough to get pressure. So I actually put a 14 millimeter wrench, box end wrench, in first, And then I found 2 of these that fit over. They just slide over. It sits against the 14mm wrench. There's just one of them in there. And then under here, I just have the lug nut. And using a breaker bar and a pry bar on the back of these threads, make sure you don't mangle the fronts. I was able to hold it in place and just crank it until it seated itself into the back. And now it feels exactly like the other ones. It's all the way in. I was able to do that. That was super easy now that I know what I'm doing. Didn't even have to redo any of the pads. All 4 wheels are done. We have new rotors, new pads, a new stud on this one, and new pins that are all greased up with the good stuff down there. Came with the Volvos. Yeah, all I gotta do is bleed the brakes, and I probably will wait for. Oh, I think I have one of those self-bleeding kits. Let me look in that, or I'll just wait for my wife to get here and help me pump. All right, pretty sure that they had replaced this fluid when they did that master cylinder, but we don't know when that was done. There's no record of it. So, it's not the worst I've ever seen. It's sort of dark, but let's, I'm going to do it anyway just so we know when it was done from this point forward, and I got new brakes on there, so why not, right? That's the best idea. Suck that out with a turkey baster. All right, just as a comparison, the new fluid is much more clear than the one that just came out. It's still got a yellowy tint to it, or, you know, golden color there with the light. But I just filled it up to the max, so let's attach my bleeder. I'm not going to film while I'm doing that because I'm sure it's going to be slapstick comedy. All right, we're back up front. Let's pull off this adapter for the oil filter. Should be 3 bolts, one there, one up there, one there. I already undid the oil pressure sensor. But yeah, everything back here is leaky, leaky, leaky. We don't know how much is power steering fluid from up above and how much is main seal possibly, but we know this thing is prone to leaking as well. Now, gasket was cheap. 3 bolts and it should come off. All right, quick update. It came off, but I don't want to do it this way. I have a feeling this is a lot easier with the pulley out of the way and the belt out of the way. You can reach down in there, and the power steering pump probably off as well. Anyway, I'm not really sure what this thing is, this right there, but I couldn't reach up there with enough strength to get the electrical connector to disconnect, so I had to do the 210s. Not easy, because I basically needed my wife to help me out here, and she did the wrench, and I held it in place and popped it off of the adapter, which is sitting right there. All right, so there's our gaskets. You can see that figure 8 is sitting on the back of whatever that little electrical sensor is. And then there's our screen and the other gasket. So, yeah, progress is being made. More and more and more progress. I have no idea what this little guy is, but that figure 8 thing that came in my kit goes on it. I was able to, from the top, unclip it. Barely. Not easy. So I'll attach it onto there and then reach down and clip it from the top on the back of the engine. Woo! Okay, well, it turns out this is our VTEC solenoid. So at high RPMs, the computer signal comes through, the solenoid activates, and it opens up oil to go through this channel with the screen. It presses down, allows that to open up fully, and lets oil go through into the cam adjustments at our high RPM, so it gets extra peppy. So we got 2 gaskets here we're going to replace. I did not replace the oil pressure sender unit. It was definitely this gasket that was leaking. This looks to be pretty good. If it's, this is easier. This is not difficult to get to if we need to change it later. I do have an O-ring that I believe goes underneath here, but since this wasn't showing signs of leaking, we're just going to leave it. Let's get busy. I got a full day today. Let's see if we can wrap this baby up. All right, it's all back in there. Super easy. I mean, access isn't great, but it's not a difficult project. I just got to do the 2 electrical clips. And then I'm going to do the oil pan. Oil pan is next, because I think I'm going to need the power steering pump part. I'm going to need the car to run at some point, so that needs oil in the oil pan. All right, so to get to our oil pan with the car sitting in here and the subframe on, we're going to have to lift the engine a little bit by putting the jack on the transmission. But first we got to get the exhaust off. So there's 2 bolts holding the front exhaust, bank 1 up front, and then there's 2 bolts, 2 or 3 back there. So let's see if we can pop those free. I'm probably gonna lift this higher up in the air so I can get under here easier. It's a pretty tight spot. I'm dealing with, like, I don't know, 17, 18 inches of space here. 5 more inches would be amazing, especially trying to line that up and get all the bolts in. So let me just see if I can pop some bolts free on the exhaust line, and then we'll start from there. All right, well, I got the car way up higher in the air. It's a lot more comfortable under here. With the gun, was able to pop out all 6 of my bolts on the exhaust. Instead of undoing the rubber mount back here, I just did the 2 bolts that hold it to the subframe, and it is flexible. I can get it out of the way. I'm actually just going to put my jack in here on the transmission. And when I do that, I'm going to flex this exhaust pipe all the way to the right side of the jack so it'll stay out of the way. Or I can zip tie it to here, I think. But that thing is pretty sturdy, so it's going to take a pretty sturdy zip tie to hold it. Anyway, but I have now access to my oil pan up here. All the bolts have access. Yeah, let's start undoing a bunch of bolts. I got to lift just a little bit to get space for the subframe for that thing to come off of its pegs and slide out. All right, so just took off the flywheel cover. It's 2 10mm bolts. That's the first look in there. There's a little bit of wet oil seepage, so a little rear main seal seep. So that's not too bad, actually. I thought it would have been worse. So we will put that, hopefully the AT205 will help seal swell that, or that might be oil pan seal too, because it looks like the RTV is wet, but who knows? We'll find out here when the pan comes off. These next 2 bolts are these two coming off the transmission, and then all these 10s all the way around. And yeah. Oh, and this bracket coming off of the exhaust pipe. Both ends of that need to come off. Quick and easy. I'll see you in a little bit when I get it off. All right, I got those 4 bolts out of this side of the subframe. 1, 2, 3, 4. That 4th one right there is so hard. Yeah, these 2 are pretty hard. I don't know how I'm gonna get them back in, but they are out. All I gotta do is get that one right there on the front side. And then the others are all popped and easy to come out. I've already got the jack lifting it up just a wee bit. Maybe I pull the motor mount on this side and get it up a little bit higher, but I'm trying not to do that. It wasn't easy, but it came out. And just a little bit of lift on the engine from the transmission right over there. It came out super easy once it popped free, broke the RTV. So now I need to find out, did I get the right one as a replacement? All right, so there's the new pan, and the Felpro gasket fits perfect. There are 2 tabs that stick up right here that help align it and hold it into place, but it is rigid. It is a metal gasket with silicone and these strips on it that are supposed to melt in and act like, I think they're RTV technically, but they're supposed to heat up and work like RTV and bond it, but it is a metal sandwich with that on both sides, blue, and it comes with a little bit of Felpro RTV that I'll put on the joints that I pointed out, those 4 joints, and up it goes. This I like it. It's just easier, especially since I'm warming it through the subframe, to have a rigid gasket. All right, that was unbelievably freaking tight. And did it pop when it came free? I was like, what? I'm gonna break that free before I put it on just to make sure. Sure enough, like, what were the chances that that was going to like pull threads? That was wicked tight. Like, was it molted in there? Wow. All right, it's in. I had a panic moment because there are 6 longer bolts. I didn't even notice that when they came out, but all 6 of them are pretty obvious. They go in a deeper section. Bolts at the back by the transmission. So it is in. Now I gotta figure out how to do the 4 bolts here on the front. All right, well, note to self, it just struck me that the drive belt down there at the very bottom is that horizontal across the bottom of the crank to the, I believe that's the AC compressor. That line is actually what's getting in my way, trying to get that 3rd bolt across the front of the pan there. So I'm gonna take the drive belt off now because it's all coming off in the next step to do the power steering pump and getting replaced anyway. So let's get that out of the way. Just gonna take some mental notes of how it is routed on a belt. Oil pan is back in and all torqued up. I just need to put the flywheel panel here back in and the brace and remount the exhaust, which is kind of wedged behind my floor jack. Actually, I can get the floor jack out of the way. Makes it a lot easier to access down here. Yeah, let's do that. I can lower this back down. Woo! It's a thing of beauty. It's nice to have no drips on my face or on my body when I'm underneath the car. That's let's hope it stays that way. All right, that's all back together. Exhaust line's all back on. The flywheel cover is back on. I am going to start on the power steering pump, so I get to work standing up for a little bit. And then we'll do the main event, dropping some back side of the subframe to do the missing transmission mount. Yeah, so let's do this first. not even sure where to start, but yep, it should be easy, right? All right, well, preparing for a mess, because I just went to put a clamp on here and it just split this old hose. It's hard as a rock. Yeah, it just split it, cracked it wide open when I went to clamp it. So it's gonna spill fluid till we get it out of there. Pull this clamp off first. All right, so I got my power steering canister out of here, pulled this one off. This one came off nice. But getting to this one down here, you can see that the adjustment on the clamp, this is the line going from the reservoir to the cooling coil. So it's coming back from the cooling coil to the reservoir. The nut is on the inside and you can't get it. It should be over here where you can get down into it nice and easy in that space, but it was stuck here against the frame and the hose was hiding it. So I just reached in there with my hose cutter, snipped it off and threw it in the bin. Easy enough. All right, power steering pump is out. It is sitting down there. Went ahead and removed the mount because it's going to be a lot easier. I forgot about that. It was really hard getting to this bolt with that mount in the way, so it'll be a lot easier putting it back in. And then I'm just going to take a look here and see if I can do my tensioner and pulley. I started doing the bolt, but it doesn't seem like it's coming out anymore. So I need to read a little bit more about that. Seems like it's kind of stuck. Maybe it all comes out as a unit. I'm not really sure on that. Probably should have read that first. But I know I have a new, this is the tensioner pulley and this is the guide pulley. So I know I have new of all of that in the Gates kit. Just got to figure out how to get that off. Let's do it now. Oh, I just got my old tensioner pulley out and it's cracked. The entire housing's cracked all the way across there. Check that out. That's kind of odd. But anyway, it's getting replaced. And it had like this, I couldn't get that bolt out because it had this weird little thing that was just spinning back there and it wouldn't, I guess if I would have yanked the bolt, it would have come free. But it is out. It's easier to do this bolt from the bottom with the wheel out. You can see it coming in right there. You just need a little swivel. I actually used the gun to get it to break free. It's going to go back in the same way it came out, right? Absolute war zone getting those three hoses off. Well, the first one's easy. This one came off a piece of cake. These little guys, oh my goodness, they were brittle. This is the one that cracked when I tried to clamp it. And these guys, I basically had to pretty much mangle these old original clips. And I got new worm ones. I'm just going to use the worm ones because these are, I reconstructed them, but they're all kind of mangled. I had to undo them and get them out because they were so pinched into those old hoses. And those hoses did not want to release off the hard lines. So we will start over. All right, YouTube, so I'm just trying to blast through this. I got those hoses. Man, those were hard to get off. They are back on, clamped down. I got them all back into place. Belt is on. Tensioner's on. Pulley's on. Everything feels great. I got my Gates Micro V. Facing forward is appropriate. I got it filled up with fluid. I've gone back and forth on the wheel without the car turned on for probably 25, 30 cycles. And it doesn't seem to be sucking any more down at this point, so I'm going to install battery cables, which my hot mamacita just went and picked up at the Acura dealer. Let's install those, and let's crank this up, and I gotta get oil in it, and let's crank it up and get that power steering moving. All right, so I just finished this. I did rotate this a little bit. It does go dish side up. I guess it's so you can see down in there a little bit. This is how it was oriented in all the photos I saw online and people doing their own videos where they were taking it off. That's how they found it. So that's how I turned this one. It was kind of askew. So that's how it is. Let me know. Chime in down below. Now, I got to put some battery cables in here. All right. Got the wiring harness all clipped back in where it's supposed to be. Remember, it was hanging down back there in the heat. Got 2 screws on this one. Bought a new screw. Goes right there. 2. It's nice and firm. It was laying down on the front. Now let's do the positive cable. All right, that takes some doing to get the bottom bolt. There's 2 of them actually, but one of them is missing. So one will be good on the battery brace panel there. The air box is in. I put a brand new air filter. Let's get the box back on top. Then the tray for the battery. The battery goes in. The new air thing goes in, and this can all attach. All right, air box is back on, all connected. Got the, I think that's idle air return or whatever, or actually it's probably the PCV or crankcase ventilation coming back up. This is connected. Is this my mass airflow sensor? I was expecting it. Most cars I've seen on my Toyota and all the Volvos, it's between the airbox and the throttle body, not in the throttle body. So maybe this car doesn't have a mass airflow. Kind of odd. I'll have to look that up. That's different. But now I got to put the battery tray in and the battery and connect this up. I still got to do a negative terminal. And the battery's back in. I did pull this out of a junkyard, so now it has a clamp. I was missing that before. New battery cables, negative just goes to the frame. This one's all in with all of its mounts where it's supposed to be. Nothing's loose. It is missing a cover though. There's supposed to be a cover right here. So these seem a little tall, but we'll make them work. So anyway, it should be ready to run. I just need to put some oil in it. Too funny. Pouring oil in there. It only takes, I bought 2 jugs and it takes just a little bit less than 1. It only takes 4.5 liters. And all of a sudden I start hearing a little drippy noise. And I got so lucky because I left that pan sitting right there. And it was draining there, straight in there, because I never put the drain plug back into the oil pan. And I never put on an oil filter. So let's do that real quick. It's alive! Running good. Power steering's holding level. Transmission I cycled through, but we'll get that set. We'll set that fluid level when it's level on the ground after the transmission mount is back in place, but it is running totally up to temp. It's been running for several minutes. Just sitting there, blowing some warm air in here, making sure everything's going through the heater core. Yeah, I'm happy. One more job for tonight on the maintenance is getting access to that box. Behind there should be a cabin air filter. Oh, I kind of like it because I don't have to be upside down and backwards like a Volvo going down here and barely get in there. I got to pull carpets back to get access to it with a Torx. But man, it feels like I'm breaking stuff pulling this apart. Oh, the entire glove box comes out, but I don't have to go upside down and backwards. Yeah, that might be the worst cabin air filter I've ever seen. That's worse than the Previa, or not the Previa, it didn't have one. Then the V8 Volvo Ragnar. Oh my God, that is gross. That might be 114,000 miles worth. Yuck. All right, it's been a day or two. Had college graduation yesterday, so had a day off on Saturday. Sunday, we're gonna get this car done. Little few surprises here this morning. First one, even vacuum filling, it sucked all of the coolant from the overflow reservoir back into the radiator when the engine cooled down, and I was a little worried about that, because when I did the vacuum fill, I had the battery disconnected and it's electronic how to do the temperature controls, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't pulling any of the heat. The valve would have been closed going to the heater core in the dash, so that coolant wasn't getting a vacuum or wasn't getting a full vacuum, so there was a void in there. The heat was working when I did get the coolant running and had the car up to temp. The heat was cranking on the inside, so it does function, it just didn't have enough coolant. So after it cooled down, it sucked all of it back in. So we'll do a refill on that and keep an eye on it. The other thing I wanted to check is I did see a little bit of a dribble of an oil leak coming from where the front main seal was. Nothing has dripped on the ground, but it's wet, right? There was like a little line of sheen coming down right there. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. It does not appear to be from, it appears to be coming from higher up. Yeah, it's coming down onto the oil pan, so it's not coming out of the oil pan, so it's not my oil pan seal. So that's great news, because the oil pan seal is the bottom there and it's coming across it, so that's great. Keep an eye on that. I did put the AT205 in there. Yeah, today's main event, we are going to play with structural integrity, and we are going to drop that subframe back, loosen the front, let that engine fly free, baby. Because installation of the missing, right back there where those bolts are, right there, those 2 bolt holes, and then there's 2 more up on the back of the transaxle. It's missing a mount. So that is not easy to get to. It's easy to get the ripped one that ripped in half out because it comes out in 2 halves. You can just lift the engine a little bit from the subframe. But the spacing required to get the new one in with the long studs that go down through the subframe for 2 bolts, a little bit more difficult. Let's find out if I can do it. I'm going to post a link to a TRQ video I saw on YouTube that's given me the confidence to even try this. So if you're seeing this, there's a good chance that this worked. All right, so since they've already took that one out and didn't replace it, all we have to do is loosen, the first step is loosening up the front transmission mount. So it's got 2 bolts coming through the subframe up here. So I'm just going to support the engine to take a little bit of pressure off of it. The 2 bolts are on the bottom of the subframe, so this is not going to move when I do those, but we'll just put a little support on it and we'll pop these 214s loose.
All right, so this is where it starts to get real, dealing with structural. So the engine, I have a little bit of pressure on the transmission just to support it. It shouldn't fall down when I go to do this because there's 4 main bolts holding the subframe to the car. Actually, there's side frames for the subframe to the, where the subframe mounts to the frame directly. There's some extra bolts, but they're not super strong. These 17mm bolts are the main ones. They're coming out completely. And then to get this bracket out of the way so that this can fall down away, I have to get this bolt loosened up and that bracket will slide out. I gotta do that on both sides. So, shit's getting real. Let's see what happens. That was easy. That is a big bolt going up there. So, let's do the other side. It didn't move at all because, again, I got the transmission supported by the floor jack. All right, so this next phase has me a little freaked out because I'm a ninny. I am putting an extra set of floor jacks right here, so if this falls further than I anticipate, it's not going to be catastrophic and hitting the deck when I can't lift it back up. But right now, on both sides, these 2 bolts, this is a slider, so this is a body to subframe mount, and there's 2 bolts on each side, and it's a slider keyed at the bottom opening, so it sits all the way down. When I loosen these up, that subframe is going to slide free of the body, which is held up by the main floor jacks on the body rails. So it's don't want to be underneath here at all. I do have the safety of those. And then it should just, I think on the video I watched, it fell by an inch, inch and a half, maybe at the most. So, or maybe just a ½ inch on this side. When I do the other side, it'll pop a little bit further. Let's see what happens. It is a 14, and I'm just using a little swivel to get around my installed brakes to get back there. Those 2 bolts. All right, well, side 1 was not bad. This is the driver's side. They are both loose, and it moved like an 1/8 of an inch. So it'll move more when I pop the other side, because this side is still holding. Actually, I still have the transmission supported. I forgot about that. So let me lower that down slowly. All right, I pulled the floor jack away from the transmission. It fell maybe like another 1/8 of an inch. When these 2 come undone, it's going to come down a little bit more. Just make sure you're staying back from anything underneath as you loosen those up. All right. It came down, you can see it there, came down about, I don't know, an inch. Let me walk around on the other side and see what we got over there. It definitely just, as it releases, just pops down. What happened in here? Yeah, about the same, a little bit of movement. So now the big moment. 2 17-inch bolts on the front mounts of the subframe. And I'm not going to take these out because if those come out, this thing collapses and falls on the floor. Well, it would actually destroy itself hanging from these struts. But that would be very bad because that's a lot of weight and I can't get it back up. So all we do on these 2 17-inch bolts is we loosen them and create, actually it's not that. It's not that, sorry. That is my lower control arm. It's that. This 17-inch bolt right there. So that is my last remaining point when I'm not removing this bolt, so this bracket's going to stay in place. So this cannot fall down, but I want to loosen this tension so that that bushing allows it to flex more, and I can flex that down in the back and get more space when I lift that transmission up. That's the plan. All right, so quick update before I drop or loosen the 2 17s on the front. 2 bolts for the subframe. I went ahead and pulled these anti-sway bar end links and got them out of the way. And now I just got to do those 2. And then we let it, it's actually hanging. It's just going to hang a little bit more, and then we can pry it down on the back to get even more space in there. I got to get in there with as much space as possible to get those studs through that subframe. Let's see what happens. All right, well, I got them free. They are spun loose. I didn't spin them very far down. I might have to go a little bit further. But I'll just do that by hand, not with a gun. I still don't have room yet to get those studs. You can see that stud hanging down. It just hits the subframe. Doesn't have enough space to get in there as is. So with the pry bar now, should be able to reach on the back of there and pull down that subframe a little bit. Right up there, right past that jack. Pull that down a little bit, get a little bit more space for those studs to slide in. I'm gonna do this both hands, and we'll see. I'll see you on the flip side. All right, well, so far no success. Coming close. It's in there. It's wiggling around. I can get it within like 1/4 of an inch of dropping into the stud holes through the subframe, but I don't have the strength to flex my pry bar back there and coordinate way back there and coordinate getting that into its spot with one hand. So what I'm gonna do is Hot Mamacita's gonna come out here. I got her all set up. She's gonna roll in there. She's gonna do the pry bar work. All she's gotta do is push that up, and then with my fingers on both sides of the subframe so I don't get any danger of pinching, I can worm that into and focus all my attention on that. So it's gonna be a two-person job here. I'm just afraid to put any more slack in the front up there. I mean, it's flexing on the front, so I don't think that's the issue. It's just a coordination issue of getting strength. If you had a rack and if you could get this thing elevated on a rack, it'd be a lot easier. But me worming around here on the ground, I cannot do that. So we'll try it with two people. Hot Mamacita on the rescue. All right, with all our strength, we could not pry enough with this little pry bar from Harbor Freight to get that subframe to flex enough. So back to Harbor Freight I went. One of these is gonna work. One of these, I tell ya. Come on. Bigger pry bar. Monster pry bar worked, and Hot Mamacita's help. It is in. Matter of fact, it is in, and once it drops down into those two holes, you can move it all you want. All right, bringing you up to speed, it's all in there. The main bolts, 4 bolts, front and rear, all 4 corners of the subframe are at 103 Newton meters, and these bracket bolts are kind of high. They're 93. Kind of shocked me that they would be that high, but they are all on. Now that I have the subframe pulled back up and the engine sitting on it, I can tighten these 14s down and torque those back where the subframe mounts to the body. All right, YouTube, it is all back together. Engine mounts in place. I need to go walk around in the pouring rain and mud and get one safety bracket bolt, that 17mm bolt right down there on the front engine mount, because I had to replace that thing. Don't ask. Unplanned. Yeah, had to go buy one of those yesterday, and I can't get that bolt off the other one's stud, which is why I had to go buy a new one. So anyway, they were old, so it's got a new one, and I need a 17mm bolt that goes on that safety bracket. So, gonna go do that at the junkyard real quick. Probably cost me $1. It threw an engine code last night. A check engine light came on for a P0134, which is bank 1, that side. Closest to the firewall. The upper O2 sensor, no reading is what that code is. So I had sprayed a ton of water trying to get clean this up because it was so greasy and oily from all the oil leaks. And I bet I got water into that little electrical connector because it was running perfect. I just kind of disconnected it and blew it out with the compressed air, and then put some just got it back together nice and tight, and I think that's going to be good. We'll see if that comes back. It does look like both of these O2 sensors, those are new. They do not have bad wiring, but I did read online that if they were not Honda spec, Honda Acura OEM, or the Denso OE original manufacturer, that Hondas do not like them. They're really sensitive to these two sensors. So that looks brand new. Who knows if it's an original Honda or not. It might just throw in a code because it didn't like the readings. But I'm gonna go get that bolt. I need to get it up in the air and do a final read on the transmission fluid. It did suck more coolant through. Kind of shocked me. I thought we were done with that. So it pulled more through. It is not, no head gasket, no leaks. But I need to get the under tray on there and check transmission fluid, and we're good. 2 17mm flange bolts for that safety bracket on the front. Engine mount, I just grabbed them both off of a completely wrecked one, but the bolts were fine. Able to access it underneath the car. At the junkyard, cost me $1 to get in as a VIP. Showed her the 2 flange bolts, and she said, "Have a good day, parts are free." Thank you very much. It's spitting rain out there. I'm gonna go home and put it on, and the car is done. Jump down there, hit subscribe. Just goes to show, if I can do it, you can do it. I was terrified of doing that transmission mount after watching some YouTube videos. Took a lot of finagling to figure out how to get that thing to work. Just needed more pry bar. Be safe out there, YouTube. Have fun. I mean, it's not a Volvo, but that's a good car. Good bones. 114,000 miles. Tons of maintenance repair done to it. We'll do some more. Has a little pop coming from the right front. Probably an axle. We'll get that checked out. Might be the ball. Actually, it's probably the ball joint now that I think about it. Anyway, that's easy to do, and it'll probably be the next 300,000 mile car in the fleet. I mean, it's not a Volvo, but it's a sweet ride.